Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the basics of Git, and specifically we're going to be talking about what is Git, what is version control, how to download and install Git. We're going to be talking about the Git terminal, which is called bash, and some of the basic commands that you need to know when working with Git. And for further references, you can go to https://docs.github.com. So let's get started. So Git is a free and open source distributed version control system, and we're going to be talking about that in the next slide. So for now, all you need to know is that it is very fast and efficient, and it is very good for collaborations and working with teams. Now, a version control system is a class of systems responsible for managing changes to computer programs, and this is from google.com. And what this basically means is that it will track who made changes to a file. It will track when they made changes and why they made the changes in terms of commit messages, and this is what we have as commits. So it is especially good for collaborations, because if you can imagine, when you're working with a team, there's a very large number of people who are working on the same file at the same time and making changes and commits at the same time. So what Git will do is that it will track who within the team made the changes, why they made the changes, and when they made the changes. And by doing all this, it is very easy to review, and once all the reviews have been done and all the changes are accepted, they can be brought together in what is called merging, just like video merging. So why would you choose Git? Number one is continuous deployment, and for this I'm going to talk about this a little bit later down the road, because I feel it will be better explained with a practical example. For number two, it is very fast and efficient. It is easy to learn and use, easy to install, and it is compatible with Windows, Linux, and Mac. So some of the most useful Git commands are Git Init, which will initialize an empty Git repository in your local directory; Git Add, which will add all the files to a staging area; Git Commit, which is equivalent to saving a Word document technically; and Git Push, which will publish the changes to your remote repository. So let's get started with how to download and install Git. Alright guys, so what I did is that I opened Google Chrome in my browser and I just searched for download Git, and these are the results that it brought me. So when I just click this, it will automatically detect my system as a Linux, and it will give me this option to download for Linux. If you're on Windows, you can just go ahead and click this to download, and if you're on Mac, you can go ahead and click this. But since I already have it, I'm not going to download it. So you can follow the prompts to download and install. Just click yes over and over, next, and to install it. Now once you have installed it and you open the terminal, it will look something similar to this. Okay, it will look something similar to this. Let me just make this bigger. And to ensure that you actually have Git installed, you can run git --version like that, and you can see I have version 2.28. okay, if you need help with the commands, you can type git --help like that, and you can see it will give you a list of the commands available. And let me just go through a few of them that we'll be working with. One is Git Clone, and you can see the definition here. It's explained as clone a repository into a new directory, and I'm going to use this for the first part just so that I can show you other commands that are very common. Git Init, just like npm init, will create an empty Git repository or reinitialize an existing one. Git add file context to the index, and what else? Git commit records changes to the repository, and Git push, of course, update remote refs along with the associated objects. So these are some of the commands that we'll be dealing with. And just to start with Git Clone, I've opened another window here to my GitHub repository for UI Design Daily, which is a video series that I'm carrying out on YouTube currently. And this is the main repository that I would like to clone to my desktop. So I can do that by doing this. Going back to this terminal, let me just clear it and say, let me cd into my desktop. And then I would like to Git Clone. I would like to download everything in this repository, and I can do that by cloning this repository, and I will say Git Clone, And if you come here to this repository and come to this button right here, you click this button, you will get this right here, but I don't want to copy it manually, so I'm just going to click this clipboard button, and I'm going to say Git Clone and paste it right there. Once I do that, it will download this entire repository into my desktop. Okay, so you can do that and just wait a moment. Once it does that, I'll be able to access this repository from my desktop. Now you can see that it's cloning into UI Design Daily, so I can actually go to that directory by saying cd UI-design-daily, like, oops, misspelled. I can cd into UI-design-daily like that, and you can see that I now have access to this folder. Okay, now I'm going to open Visual Studio Code in this folder just so I can show you how the git add and git commit actually works. And once I do that, you see it opens Visual Studio Code like that with everything that was in the repository. I now have access to everything right here, and I'm just going to open my my components website just to show you what continuous deployment means. So it's UID, okay, right there. Now we can get back to this. Okay, now this is my index.html. This is actually the home page that you'll find on UI Design Daily with everything inside. Okay, now if I am to open this with live server, let's just open the live server, you see that I'll get the same home page as this right here. Okay, only that this is hosted on Netlify and this is on my local host. Okay, so now let me just make a few changes maybe to this heading right here, and then I'm going to commit the changes. Okay, I'm going to commit the changes to GitHub, and then I'm going to come and reload this page, and you'll see that the changes will take place in a moment. Okay, so let me go back here and say let me change this to UI components and say by me and then I can disable this for now. Okay, now you can see that in my local host this actually reflects that I've changed it. Okay, and when you come to my repository, not my repository really, when you come to my my folder structure that you see here, you find that index.html now has an M beside it. What this means is that I have modified index.html. You see, it says right there it has been modified. Okay, now what that means is that there are changes that I have made, and you can see this blue line light right here. There are changes that I have made to my index.html that are conflicting with the repository that is in the GitHub. Okay, so in order to actually merge the changes, what I have to do is actually git add all, and all here is represented by a dot. Because it's actually one file, I can also actually say git add index.html, or if you want to commit all of them again, you can also say git add star, not star but asterisk. It's the same thing really, and once you see once I click enter, you see that it adds them. Okay, and then the next thing that it will need is a commit message. So you come and say git commit and -m. -m means you're committing with a message, and the message has to be in quotes like that, or on Windows I think it has to be in double quotes. Okay, so I'm going to say change header like that. Once I git commit, you see it gives you, it commits with an ID. I can't speak. It commits with an ID here, for example, and it says that the commit message is change header. Okay, and it will tell you one file has been changed, two insertions have been made, and 2 deletions have been made. Now in order to actually push this to my website, and you can see that the M is no longer here because it has now been merged with the commit from my remote repository. So I can come and say git push like that. Once I say git push, you can see that it pushes to my repository. Okay, and if I check it, it should show a message right here, change header 1 minute ago. Okay, and if I go to my my hosting website and I reload it, you should see very fast. It's very fast. It's very fast, and that's actually Git plus Netlify. That's why you can see these changes reflect almost immediately. Okay, now this is what I was talking about, continuous deployment. Continuous deployment actually allows you to make changes on the fly, so to speak. It means that it means that, okay, well, how should I explain this? If you have a live website, for example, such as this, and you would like to make some changes, maybe you had a spelling mistake somewhere you just noticed, or maybe you want to add a new feature to the website. What happens is that if you go to Netlify, let me just open it. Okay, let me just open it, netlify.com. If you go to Netlify and you log in and you actually connect your GitHub to Netlify, what will happen is that Netlify will be watching for changes. Just log in. Oops, I'm going to do that. Netlify will watch for changes into the repository that you've connected, and the Netlify bots, if they detect a change, will actually make that change on your actual website. That's what makes this very possible, and that's the definition of continuous deployment. It is much better than having to manually, because Netlify allows drag and drop for websites, but drag and drop, because it's a manual deploy, if you have another change to make, you will actually have to go and drag and drop the folder that has the changes back into Netlify. Then you would have to go and change the website name or delete the other website that you had. Then you would have to change the website. You see, it's a very long process. Okay, so you can avoid all that by using GitHub for continuous deployment. I hope you understood that. If you didn't understand that, please leave a comment in the description and I'll try to explain it better. Okay, so I can just close this and close this and close this as well. And now that we have gone through, we have done Git Clone in a terminal, we have done Git add, Git commit. What else should I okay, sometimes you may have to you may have a local directory. Okay, you may have a local directory that you haven't yet published to GitHub. So I'm going to show you how to do that without having to go through so much hassle. But the first thing that you actually need is to create a GitHub repository. Okay, so let me just do that. Alright guys, so I navigated to github.com in a new window just so that I can log in and create a new repository. So you create a new repository by coming here and clicking new and say, let me give the name as commit-test, and the description is optional. Now when you're committing from a local repository for the first time, it's advisable not to add this, okay, because it may bring some issues later. So you can add this later once you've committed for the first time. Okay, and this is just going to be public, description is optional, and I'm going to say create repository, and once it does that, it will create a repository for me right there. And I'm going to copy this again. I'm going to copy this because I'm actually going to need this. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my terminal. Alright guys, so I'm back in my terminal, and there are a few things that I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to cd into my desktop like that, and then I'm going to make a new folder. Okay, so we can do that by using the command mkdir. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I don't want to try. So I'm going to say create a folder called commit-test, like the repository, and then I'm going to cd into that folder by saying cd commit test, and then I'm going to open Visual Studio Code in that folder. Now there's a reason why I'm doing this. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to create a new file called index.html in this folder, and then I want to just make a simple change just like that. I want to make a simple change so that I can commit it, and once I commit it, you can see that it actually reflects in the GitHub. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, reduce this, okay, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to say I'm going to initialize a Git repository so that I can actually have a Git repository to publish it to. So okay, I'm going to do that by saying Git Init -b and saying main, and you can see it says initialize empty Git repository in your route there. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to say is git add all, and you can see once I initialize an empty Git repository, it gives a green highlighting here, and what this means is that the file is untracked. If I hover over it, it says it's untracked. You can fix that by saying git add, right in the terminal, git add all, like that, or you can occasionally say git add index.html or the name of the file that you have added, because it's only one, but if you have many files, all you need to say is git add all. And then I'm going to say git commit with a message saying test commit, like that. And you can see one file changed, 9 insertions, create more data in index.html, like that. And then I'm going to say git add, and then the reason why I copied my URL is because this is where we actually have to place it to show that this is where we want to add our repository. Okay, and when I do that, you can see what did I do that wrong? Let me check something. Okay guys, so the command is not git add, but it's git remote add, and then you paste the link to your repository, like that. And seriously, just a moment. Alright guys, so I made another mistake. It's actually git remote add origin, like that, origin, like that, and then you paste your URL, like that. And you can see once it does that, it doesn't give any errors. And then the next thing we do is, if you want to verify that it actually works, you can say git remote -v, like that, and you can see that it works because the fetch is there and the push is there. And then the final thing that you actually want to do in order to push to your repository is git push origin main, like that. And once it does that, it will ask you to log in if you haven't logged in. So my username is this, and let me just enter my password. So guys, I've entered my password, and note that it doesn't give you any indication that you're entering a password, but you're actually doing it. Once I do that, oh my goodness, why is this happening to me? Alright guys, so I actually did it correctly the second time because I messed up my password there. And once I enter the password correctly, you see that it actually pushes to my Git repository, like that. And if I'm to check it, you find that there's a commit that is made from index.html saying test commit as the message. You see that, and it actually works very nicely, and it's very fast. It's very fast. I'm going to leave a link in the description for the GitHub docs for further reference, and I'm actually going to leave the link for the main website for Git if you need further reading, because they have video explanations which are actually very nice. And just before we go, I would like to give a teaser for my next project, which is going to be actually a React project, which is called a carousel landing page. So guys, this is the project that I'm currently working on. You can see it only has the home page right now, and it doesn't have any side scrolling because I've only added the front end part. And you can see I have the home page, I have the login page, and the sign up page as well. And you can see that I was conducting a test right there, and it works very nicely. And for this project, we're going to be using React. We're going to be using React icons. We're also going to be using the React router, because if you can see, if I navigate to login, it gives a login, and actually doesn't give login.html or login.asp or something like that. So this is using React router. And if I go to the sign up, it will change to sign up, like that as well. If I click this, it will go to login, and if I click sign up, it will go to sign up. So I think this is a very good project, because the main part of this project is that you can see it doesn't scroll. This doesn't scroll either, and this doesn't scroll either. But the main purpose of this project is actually to create this the slides. The slide is actually what appeals to me. So I hope you'll enjoy it, and if you like this video, leave a like and remember to subscribe for more and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of my uploads.